All right. I think we are ready. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our daily success webinar on this beautiful day. So good to see you guys on here today. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us. For those of you brand new, we do these webinars Monday through Friday at this same exact time, 12 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Central, and 3 o'clock Eastern time. Try to be on here every day if you possibly can. It only takes one idea, just one simple idea to change your life. And I guarantee if you're on here every day, you're going to get idea after idea that will absolutely transform your life. All right, let's get right into it. So yesterday I shared a remarkable story with you guys. Hopefully you're on here to participate in that because it was a story that you definitely did not want to miss. So today we're going to get right back into our goal setting workshop. As you guys already know, last week I announced that we're taking the last week to 2 weeks of this month, and we're using it to go through a goal setting workshop. This is something I do twice a year. I do a really big one in December and then do a lighter version one in June. So a couple times a year. And the reason we do one this time of the year is to help make sure that you're on track to achieve your goals for 2022. And for those of you who've never done a goal setting workshop or you weren't with us when we did our last one, well, this is a great time to get started on that and finish the year strong, right? Like I tell people all the time, it's not how you start, it's how you finish that makes the difference. A lot of people are really good at starting, okay? But successful people are really good at finishing. So again, the first 6 months of this year does not matter. All that matters now is what are you going to do during the next 6 months, okay? The last 6 months of the year. How are you going to finish strong? A great example of this is our story yesterday, Cliff Young, all right, the farmer who showed up to the ultra marathon in Australia, a 544-mile marathon, no prior running experience, no training, no coach. Okay, he was a farmer his whole life, and the only experience he had was on his farm. They never had enough money for horses or a tractor, so he had to walk and run all over his farm. They had 2,000 acres with over 2,000 sheep. And so he would chase his sheep all over this farm. And when there's a storm that would come in, it would scatter the sheep. So he'd go out and run around gathering all the sheep. And sometimes he'd be running for 2 or 3 days straight, gathering up all the sheep after a storm. So he shows up to this ultra marathon in his farm attire, a baseball cap, a t-shirt, his Oshkosh overalls, and his work boots. He didn't even have running shoes on, work boots. Anyway, everybody thought this was a joke, but it wasn't a joke to him. 61 years old to boot, when most runners were in their 20s and 30s. He was, 2 to 3 times their age, 61 years old, and he shows up to run this race. This is back in 1983-84. Anyway, you guys were here yesterday, you know the story. Lo and behold, even though day one, all the other runners took off and left him behind, well, when they were sleeping, he was still running. He'd run day and night. When all the other runners would run for 18 hours and sleep for 6, he kept running and kept running and kept running, and eventually won the race. Not only did he win the race, but he beat the previous record by 2.5 days. And in that race, he beat the previous runner by 10 hours. He was 10 hours ahead of the previous runner. Absolutely remarkable. Now, why do I talk about this story again? This ties in perfectly with you and setting your goals and achieving your goals and dreams. The fact is, okay, with that story with Cliff, it didn't matter that he didn't have any previous experience. It didn't matter that he had been training or had a coach or that he was a runner. None of that stuff mattered. And even though in the race, even though they took off and left him behind, he could have very easily got discouraged by the fact that, they were so far ahead of him and he didn't have the proper attire, didn't even have running shoes on, and they just took off and left him. But he didn't get discouraged because he realized something that, just like I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So even though he was off to a slow start, the fact is he was consistent. Okay. Step after step, mile after mile, day after day, he was consistent. When they were sleeping and resting, he was still running. A very slow pace, mind you, but that slow pace, like the old story, slow and steady wins a race, which, by the way, like I said yesterday, I don't believe that's true in all aspects of life. I believe there are some ways that can be detrimental to you. So that's not a philosophy you want to adopt in every area of your life. But in this particular instance, there are some areas where it does hold true. In this particular story, it definitely held true that slow and steady wins a race. He was slow, but he was consistent. He was steady. He won the race by 10 hours or 10 hours ahead of the previous runner. Okay. He finished strong. He didn't have a great start, but he finished strong. Perfect example of your past does not equal your future. Doesn't matter how you start. It doesn't matter what happened to you yesterday, last week, last month, last year, the last 10 years, the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years. None of that matters. All that matters now is what are you going to do today? What are you going to do over the next week, over the next month, over the next year, over the next 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? How are you going to finish? That is all that matters. Again, as I going through my, listening to my audiobooks today, there was one of the gentlemen in there talked about this, and he said, it's at some point, like if you're part of a wealthy family, just for an example, or we'll just say for those individuals out there who do have wealthy families, okay, you're part of a wealthy heritage or wealthy legacy. Sometimes what individuals forget is at some point in history, generations back, somebody in your line, in that line of family had to start the process. There was somebody back then that didn't start out wealthy and rich. They started out like everybody else, or maybe worse, but they broke the chain. They made a change and they became wealthy and rich, even though they didn't start out that way. And then maybe generations moving forward, okay, their posterity is able to enjoy the benefits of that wealth that they created. Somebody had to start the chain reaction back at some point. John D. Rockefeller started for his family, J.P. Morgan, okay, Andrew Carnegie, all these wealthy and great families. Sam Walton started it for his family. And so the reason I bring that up is sometimes when you look at people who are wealthy and successful, we forget that a lot of those individuals didn't start out that way. They're self-made. They weren't born into wealth and riches and success. Okay. And even the ones that were born into it, somebody generations back, okay, had to break the chain and go from poverty to wealth and start that process. You can be that individual for your family. You can be the one that breaks the chain. You can be the one that creates a new legacy that takes your family from poverty to wealth. Again, because your past doesn't equal your future. Some person back then realized that even though they didn't grow up in wealth, they grew up in poverty, or they grew up in very challenging circumstances, they realized that the past does not equal the future. And they made that shift in their own life. So anyway, last week in our goal setting workshop, the last thing we discussed was creating a vision for each area of your life. So up to this point, you should know what areas that you want to improve in. You should know, you should have your wheel of life that you've created. You should have rated yourself in each area to see how well you're doing, and then created a vision for each area of your life. The next thing you want to do, and this is incredibly important, the next step in the process is you want to start stacking reasons why It is so important, why it's absolutely critical that you succeed in these areas. So who was it? Man, one of the books I was going through last week, he said something very powerful. He said, how would you treat success if you had to succeed? Like it wasn't an option. Like you had to succeed. And I know I've shared this in the past, but just the way he said it, even though I've taught the same thing, there was just something about the way he said it that I thought, man, it's so true. What if you had to succeed? What if it was a situation where it was life or death, do or die? Human beings are amazing. When it comes down to a situation where we have to get something done, like it's hell or high water, do or die, it's amazing what human beings are capable of. I truly believe that one of the reasons why most people don't succeed is because they have not made success a must. They haven't made it their duty. They haven't made it their obligation. They haven't made it their responsibility. They treat success like an option in life, like it's multiple choice. They don't treat it like an obligation, like a duty, like a responsibility, like they must succeed. And so they don't. Think about it. There's probably been times in your life where you had to get something done. You had to get something done. I mean, if you had a family member that was in a life or death situation and you needed, $100,000 to save them, could you come up with that $100,000 if you were desperate enough, if you wanted it bad enough, if you loved them enough? Could you somehow or another, I'm not talking about robbing a bank, okay? But I'm talking about, is there a way that you could legally, morally, and ethically come up with that $100,000 to save them? If you had to, if it was a must, sure, absolutely. If I told you there was $1 million in a locker in Dubai, and the only way to get there is you had to fly to get it, and you didn't have a dime to your name, could you somehow or another get the money to get a plane ticket to go get that $1 million? Or could you somehow get a ticket, some way, shape, or form? Could you find a way to get that plane ticket to get to Dubai? If you wanted to, let's look at it another way. Would you say, Jason, that's great, man, it'd sure be nice to have that $1 million. Okay. And I'm sitting here telling you, all you need to do is fly over there and get it. No strings attached. You fly over there. Here's the key to the locker. Here's where it's at. You just get the transportation over there and the money's yours. Would you sit back and say, man, that's a great offer, Jason, thank you, but you know what? I'm going to pass. I don't have a dime to my name. I don't know where I'm going to get the money or how I'm going to get a plane ticket. So I'm just going to have to pass. Would you do that? How ridiculous would that be? Would you go around and tell your family and friends, say, man, Jason offered me $1 million. All I needed to do was get a plane ticket to go get it. He gave me the key and the location. That's no strings attached. What do you think your family and friends would do if they found that out? They would be like, are you crazy? Are you an idiot? Like what's wrong? Why would you turn that down? But see, that's what most people do in their day-to-day lives. They just don't realize it. They have the key to whatever they want, whether it's $1 million, $100 million, $1 billion, their dream home, their dream car, their perfect partner, whatever it is, they have the key to it. But most people are so busy making excuses as to why they can't have it. Okay. Or they don't have enough money for this, or they don't have enough time for that, or it's too hard, it's too difficult, too complicated, or whatever it is. I'm too busy. Okay. I got family stuff going on. Okay. and the excuses go on and on and on. And hey, I'm not pointing fingers. I've done this before. I'm telling you guys stuff that I've learned from my own experience, as well as the experience of others. But that's what most people do. They don't realize that they have the key to whatever it is they want in life. They just have to go after it. They have to make success a must, not a choice. It has to be an obligation, not an option. Success must be your duty, your responsibility, your obligation. It must be a must. You have to develop the mindset that it's no longer a choice. You have to succeed. In your mindset, pretend like it's do or die, hell or high water, like life or death for you and your family. Treat it with that level of respect and intensity and commitment. When you make up your mind that you must succeed, it's no longer a choice, you'll be amazed at the people, the resources, the things that will come into your world to help you accomplish it. You just have to make up your mind and decide. So when he said that, what if you had to succeed? How would your life be different? Man, that was like, it's just another aha moment. It's like, it's so, so true. So the reason I share this with you is because this ties in perfectly with what we're talking about. Having a vision for each area of your life is incredibly powerful. Okay. Telling God, the universe, and of course your mind that, hey, this is what I want for my life. This is the ideal picture for my finances. This is the ideal picture for my health and fitness, for my relationships, for my business, my career, all these different areas. That's what your vision is. It's like the ideal picture of what that part of your life looks like. All the goals are basically what's underneath that. These are the measurable stepping stones to help you accomplish your overall vision for that area. Now, as powerful as a vision is, there's something just as powerful, maybe even more powerful, and that is why you must succeed. Just like I got done talking about, okay, success has to be a must, not a choice. So why must you succeed in regards to your finances? And why must you create that vision, that ideal vision, and bring it into your reality? Why must you create that ideal vision for your relationships and make that your reality, and your business, your career, and spirituality, and every other area of your life? Why must you do that? And then what you want to do is you want to start stacking all the reasons why. Okay. Like Tony Robbins taught or teaches, Jim Rohn taught, Zig Ziglar taught, they all taught the same thing. Reasons come first, answers come second. Again, like we've talked about many times, when they talk about answers, what they're meaning is the how. That's where people get tripped up. How am I going to happen? That doesn't matter. The reasons are what's most important. Once you figure out what you want and all the reasons why you want it, why you must achieve it, the how will come about. It will show up. You'll figure it out. See, think of it like this. If you don't have a great way to look at this is imagine you have a line. I probably should have created a diagram to show this. Is probably a better example. But let's just imagine you're kind of going through life, and over here is your goals. And as you're trudging along, okay, you run up against this huge brick wall. So you're here's this brick wall, and on the other side of this brick wall is your goals, which you want to achieve, okay? And you're coming along, and here's your brick wall, and you see this huge brick wall. It seems like it just goes on forever. There's no way to get over it, around it, under it. So what do? Most people, what do? They give up. They retreat. And they don't realize that their goals, what they want, their desire, their outcome, their dream is just on the other side of that brick wall. But instead they give up because they truly haven't made a decision to succeed. They haven't made it a must. Another way to put it is like Tony Robbins says, is The Latin root meaning of decide is to cut off. So in other words, when you make a true decision about something, like when you say, I am going to succeed, if you've truly made a decision, you've cut off all other possibilities. Like there's no plan B, there's no escape route. You've burned the bridges, burned the ships mentally. Okay. And you said, this is it. I'm going to succeed. Hell or high water, do or die. I am going to succeed. And then no matter what happens, no matter what shows up in your path, you either charge through it, you climb over it, you go around it, you dig underneath it, whatever, you tear it down. Nothing stops you. That person has made a true decision. On the other hand, some people think they've made a decision. They say, you know what? All right, I'm going to succeed. But the first sign of a challenge or difficulty, or it's harder than they thought it was going to be, or they have a setback, or this brick wall shows up, or some sort of obstacle, whatever, and they just give up, that person has not actually made a decision. They think they have, but they haven't. When you've truly made a decision, nothing is going to stop you. You are 100% committed to that decision. Do or die, hell or high water. Nothing will get in your way until you achieve your goal. That is a true decision. Now, here's something else for you to keep in mind. You have no control over the size of the obstacles in your path, right? That brick wall, you don't have any control over how big that brick wall is. So don't complain. It doesn't do any good to complain about the size of the obstacle. It doesn't do any good to whine and complain about these obstacles or challenges or setbacks or whatever shows up in your path. You can't control. It's a waste of energy to complain about those things. But what do you have control over? You do have control over the size of your goals, the size of your dreams. See, if your goals and dreams are so small, when you come up against that brick wall is going to seem huge compared to your goals and dreams, because your goals and dreams are down here and the brick wall's up here. But if your goals and dreams are so massive, are so incredibly huge, okay, instead of being like this, they're massive. When you come up against that same brick wall, rather than your goals being down here, your goals are way up here, that brick wall. So rather than you looking up at your brick, at that obstacle, you're looking down at it because your goals are so massive and so big. Rather than it being a brick wall that stops you, it's more like just a speed bump on your path to success because your goals are so big. Does that make sense? And it all comes back to mindset. So what it comes back to. So how do you do this? Well, again, one of the best ways to do this is to stack all the reasons why you must succeed. Okay, so when it comes to your finances, okay, why must? Key word there, must. Why must you succeed in achieving your vision for your finances and achieving all those goals and your vision for your finances? Why must you? And then you write down all the pain and pleasure. Okay, we'll probably talk more about that tomorrow. But just understand, when you write this down, a lot of your reasons are because, man, the reason why I must achieve those financial goals is because I want to travel the world. I want to be able to walk into a store and walk into any store and buy anything I want, anytime I want, and I don't even have to look at the price tag. I could go buy a $300,000 wake boat for wakeboarding, and I can write a check and not even bat an eye. Or I can go buy me, a $500,000 luxury car, okay, a Bentley or Rolls Royce or whatever, not even bat an eye, whatever it may be. So you think of all the pleasurable reasons. Well, I want to be able to do this for my family and give back and buy my cars and buy my homes and travel and pleasure. And that's good. All those reasons are good. But then what you also want to think of is the pain. What's all the painful reasons why you must succeed? Man, I must succeed because I never, ever want my family to go through what we've been through. Maybe if you've been through some challenging stuff in your life, maybe that's a huge motivator for you, right? That is for a lot of people. One of the biggest motivators for a lot of people to succeed is because they've been through some challenges and they never, ever, ever want to go through that again. They don't ever want to see their family suffering again, their wife or their husband or their children suffering because of them. And so oftentimes that is the stronger motivator. Man, I must succeed because, man, I am sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm sick and tired of not having enough money to pay my bills. I'm sick and tired of not having enough money to be able to take my family and go do things we want to do. I'm sick and tired of my wife feeling stressed about finances. I'm sick and tired of, worrying about, being behind on my payments and, my car getting repossessed. I'm sick and tired of, of this. And I'm tired of not being able to do this. And I'm tired of, my wife, not be able to go to the grocery store to get groceries for our family, whatever it may be, right? So all these reasons, the more reasons you can stack for why you must succeed under each one of those visions in each area of those lives, the more committed you're going to be to succeed. And the less likely any obstacle is going to stand in your way. Your reasons are like fuel. It's like power. Okay. Think of your vision as like direction. Okay. You've told your mind, you've told God and the universe, this is the direction I'm going. This is what I want in my life. Now, your reasons, which is also called your why. So when it comes to goal setting, you hear this all the time. Okay. What is your why? Why must you succeed? That's what your reasons are, is your why. The bigger the why, the more power, the more fuel. So think of it like that. You get in a jet. Okay. You tell the instruments, you tell the computer, this is our destination. That's what your vision is. This is our destination. But you still need the fuel, the power to take that jet and get it off the runway and basically take that jet to its destination. That's what your why is. That's what all your reasons are. It's the power behind your vision, the power behind your goals. So when you come up, if you've got just a huge list of reasons, and listen, you want as big as list as you possibly can. The more, the better. The more reasons, the better. Don't stop. Stack as many reasons you can, because as you're heading towards your goals and your dreams to create that vision for your life, if you have an obstacle like a brick wall or something comes to your path, if you've got so many reasons, such a massive why, you're going to have so much power behind you that you're going to crush through that brick wall. You're going to bust through that obstacle. It's not going to stop you because you got so much power and momentum. Every day, okay, it's going to fuel you. It's going to give you drive and inspire you to keep pushing forward. But if you don't have a lot of reasons, you're more likely to give up, lose that motivation, lose that drive, and fizzle out on your goals and your dreams. So that's why this is just as important, if not more important, than your goals and your vision itself. This is the power that's going to drive you day in and day out and help you break through any obstacles, any challenges, anything, even family and friends, those naysayers out there. Okay. The crabs in our lives that try to pull us down. Okay. You guys have heard the crab story. I've shared it many times. Okay. But the crabs in our lives that try to pull us down, if you have enough reasons and a big enough why to succeed, they're not going to pull you down. They're not going to pull you down. Obstacles come in many different forms. Sometimes it's negative family and friends that are our own biggest obstacles. It's not, anything external out there. It can be, but not always. So that's your assignment today. Come up with a massive list, as big as you can, all these reasons why. Dig deep. Look at all the pleasurable reasons. What am I going to gain? If I create this vision for my life, my finances, what's everything I'm going to gain? Man, I'm going to be able to do this. Okay. And then the opposite of that, okay, is, what's all the pain that I'm avoiding? man, if I must succeed because I don't want to experience that or go through that again, or, I don't want, pain, 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 pain. So as much pleasure and pain as you can, okay, as far as your reasons. All right, that's your assignment for today. Let's check our comments here real quick, and then we're going to wrap up. Oh, wrong button there. There we go. Okay. Debbie, you are very welcome. Thank you. My pleasure. So good to see you on here, Debbie. Katie. There you go. Absolutely. This goes back to what I shared. Katie, you're awesome. Love your messages. Consistently good is better than occasionally great. 100%. That's exactly like our story yesterday about Cliff running the ultra marathon. So very, very good. Thank you, Katie. Debbie. Awesome. Love your message, Debbie. Thank you so much. Katie. I can understand. I'm sure that happens a lot. And I experienced a little bit of that when I was a kid too, Katie. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I experienced that too. Thank you for sharing, Katie. Appreciate that. Terry, good, brother. I was thinking about you when I saw you on here today. I know you've been in the hospital. And so I'm so glad that you shared that, because that was the first thought is I hope he's doing well. So I'm glad you're recovering. I'm sure you're still recovering, but glad you're home from the hospital. And I hope you recover quickly, brother. So thank you so much for sharing and letting me know. And so good to be on here, or so good to see you on here. Just amazed at your commitment. Been in the hospital, you're still showing up on here, and just amazing, brother. So thank you for that. Chen Hong, man, I was just thinking about you today, actually. Man, it's so good to see you on here, man. It's like, woo. It's like I've always say, right? You think about somebody and they show up. So, man, good to see you, Chen Hong, and thank you for your message. Always love having you on here. Josh, you are very welcome, brother. Man, always good to have you on here. Thank you for your message. Terry, yeah, man, good to have you on here. I'm glad you're doing well, and I hope you recover quickly. So, thank you. All right, well, like I always say, if you do the things today that most people won't, tomorrow you will have the life that most people can't. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Go out there and make your best day ever. And we'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow. God bless. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody.